Did Jesus teach specific money lessons in his parables? Have you ever wondered if Jesus had specific lessons about money in his stories? Well, he certainly did. His parables often used money and possessions to teach important lessons about how we should manage our finances. Let's break down some of these teachings. First, Jesus made it clear that money itself is not bad. Instead, it can reveal a lot about our hearts and priorities. He warned us about greed and the false sense of security that wealth can provide. Life's true value, according to Jesus, is not in how much we own but in our relationship with God and how we manage what He gives us. One of the most famous parables is the parable of the talents. In this story, found in the book of Matthew, a master gives his servants different amounts of money to manage while he is away. The servants who invest their money wisely are praised, while the one who hides his money out of fear is rebuked. This teaches us the importance of being responsible stewards of the resources God entrusts to us. Another powerful lesson comes from the parable of the rich fool. This story warns against the dangers of greed and hoarding wealth without considering God's kingdom. The rich man focuses solely on accumulating possessions, only to face sudden death. This parable reminds us to prioritize eternal values over temporary wealth. Then we have the parable of the unforgiving debtor. This parable uses the concept of financial debt to illustrate the importance of forgiveness. It also highlights our responsibility to handle debts with mercy and integrity. Additionally, the parables of the hidden treasure and the pearl of great price show us the immense value of God's kingdom. They compare it to treasures worth selling everything we have. While these stories are not directly about money management, they teach us to prioritize God's kingdom above material wealth. Jesus also taught that worrying about money should not control our lives. He encouraged us to trust in God's provision and to be generous. He said, "Do not worry about your life, what you will eat or drink." This is a call to live with faith and to give freely to others. From a biblical financial foundation perspective, these parables provide practical principles for managing money. First, we must recognize that all resources belong to God. We are entrusted to manage them wisely. Second, we should guard against greed and avoid accumulating wealth for selfish reasons. Third, generosity is essential. We should reflect God's grace in our financial dealings. Fourth, we must trust in God and not let anxiety about money dominate our lives. Lastly, we should understand that earthly wealth is temporary and should be used to honor God's kingdom. In summary, Jesus taught specific money lessons through his parables that guide us in how to view and manage our finances. These lessons form a strong foundation for biblical financial principles that encourage wise stewardship, generosity, and trust in God rather than in material wealth.